What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out the fighting preacher Logan Weston. This is by the legendary Fat Electrician. Now, first of all, I've got the video up. He doesn't look like a fat electrician. He looks like an absolutely stacked electrician. So I think you should change that name, mate. Secondly, I haven't watched one of his videos in ages on this channel, specifically on this channel, because I do watch some of his videos in my own time. What's going on with my hair back here? I do watch some of his videos in my own time, specifically, actually. Today, I watched so he's got another channel called The Fat Files, and I watched his video on Europeans not using AC. It came out like a week or so ago, and I thought it was hilarious because we were actually messaging each other not long ago, and we were just talking here and there, and then on one of the messages he goes, "Side note, are you on X? Because the Brit versus Americans on AC thing can't be real, lol." And we were talking for a little bit about what it's like being a European and not having AC. I actually have AC right in this conservatory. But I think you wanted my opinion because, one, I'm British, but two, I've also lived in America, so I know both sides of the story. I'm going on a complete tangent here. I'm very excited to watch this. However, this video is an hour and 25 minutes long. So I don't know whether I'm going to watch this all in one go or whether I'm going to split it in the middle. But if I have split it in the middle, you will see in the title, it'll say part 1 or part 2. Well, it'll say part 1, obviously, it's not part 2. It'll say part 1 in the title. If I haven't, and I've watched it the whole way through, then it won't say that. If you're not already subscribed to The Fat Electrician or his other channel, The Fat Files, I don't know what you're doing. I will leave a link down below to the original video. Make sure you go over there. He's at 2.28 million subscribers. Let's boost that up. I doubt there's anyone watching this who are not already subscribed, but if you're not, go and subscribe. It's really important that you do that. Before we get started, though, check out Chug. 10% off, link down below for the best drinking vessel in the world. Listen, these ship to America. You know that, right? And they are legitimately fantastic. I've been to, like, Ren fairs in America. I went to one in Texas, and people were buying tankers there. They are no way near as good as these. Firstly, this metal insert here unscrews and you can put it in the dishwasher, which is massive because a lot of the ones at Ren fairs are just all wood and it will get ruined. Sustainable materials, handmade in the UK by a small business, which is already a great selling point. Free customization, free bag, all that good stuff. Get them right now. Buy once, cry once is the saying, right? I'm fed up and I can't afford to buy cheap shit anymore. And so buy stuff that is actually going to last you. There's that. Check out Morale, my other business, and links down below for all the other stuff. I think that's it. Let's pull this up. Let's watch our boy, the stacked electrician, talk about Logan Weston.
The fact that this guy doesn't even have a Wikipedia page about him is absolutely criminal. Today we're talking about Logan Weston, aka the Fighting Preacher, which is one of the greatest military nicknames of all time.
It's a pretty cool name.
Oh boy, did he earn it, because wait till you hear this guy's rap sheet. Years in service, 27. Wars fought in, 3. Founding member of Merrill's Marauders, or as we know it today, the 75th Ranger Regiment. Credited with knocking out multiple enemy tanks by himself at the same time. Helped lead the last bayonet charge in U.S. military history. Became a Green Beret in his 40s so that he could advise on how to combat communism in Vietnam.
Of course.
And this is normally the part of the video where I would list off all of his awards and citations, but seeing as he has over 200 of them, we're just gonna hit Distinguished Service Cross, 5 Silver Stars, 7 Bronze Stars with V device, and 6 Purple Hearts.
Jesus Christ.
And we're gonna get to how he got all that right after a word from our sponsor.
Holy crap.
What? Where's my new gun?
This is my commercial, so my tax write-off.
That's not what we agreed to.
I don't care what you said. All right, boys, let's go.
You know, taxes on a gun's more expensive, right? This video is brought to you by Delete Me. Super simple, straightforward business.
All right, I'm going to skip the ad. If you know, you know. I have to skip ads on this channel, unfortunately.
Pretty much everybody else from this era, his childhood kind of sucked. Family's dirt poor, like log cabin in the woods with no plumbing or power, dirt poor. He bounced around a lot between Michigan and Pennsylvania, and he only got an 8th grade education before going and getting manual labor jobs to support himself and his family.
Isn't it crazy? I can't pause it a lot in this video because it's already really long, but I do want to mention this. It's very easy to go back a short amount of time in America and see extreme poverty. America's already got like a lot of extreme poverty, just like a lot of other places. You do go to places like California. I went there when I was living in the school bus, and you see like It's either you're living on the streets homeless or you're in a Tesla. Like there's no in between. The middle class has completely gone there. But what I'm trying to actually talk about is the average person in America over like 3 or 4 generations has gone from like living in cabins to being the richest country in the world. And that's pretty fucking impressive, isn't it? Like that scale. I think that's quite personally, I think that's really impressive.
In the Great Depression, Logan's hunting buddy, basically his best friend who has a wife and kids, isn't able to find work and he's not able to support his family. So Logan, wanting to help him out, goes to the superintendent at this coal mine and is like, hey, can we hire this guy? And he's like, no, we're struggling to keep you guys employed right now. So Logan basically quits his job and gives it to his friend so that he can support his wife and kids. Takes him a while, but eventually he finds a job as a lumberjack. And shortly after that, the coal mine that he used to work in collapses and a bunch of people die. A lot of his friends, thankfully not his best friend that was his hunting buddy. Because of that, the mine ends up getting shut down and his friend is now out of a job again. So Logan does the same thing. He goes to his lumberjack boss and is like, hey, I'll quit. Give this guy my job. He then goes, finds a job as an appliance repair guy. And then a couple months after that, there's a logging accident and a bunch of more of his friends die from the same crew that he was working with. This really starts to eat at him. He feels like death is following him everywhere he goes. A bunch of his friends have died. He's super depressed about it. And one day he gets home from work at his appliance repair job and decides that he's going to get a gun out of his dresser and put it to his head. He slowly squeezes the trigger as the hammer's pulling back, pulling back, pulling back. And then he says that he hears a voice saying, wait, and he goes to let off the trigger. But before his brain can send that signal, the hammer drops and the gun should have fired, but it doesn't. Not believing what just happened, he thanks God for a second chance, walks outside of his house, and then shoots a tree with the exact same gun, and the gun goes off perfectly fine. And Logan interprets this as God having other plans for him, and it just completely shifts his perspective. Previously, he was thinking that death was following him everywhere he goes, and now he feels like he was being protected. God saved him from that mining incident just in time. He saved him from the logging incident, and now he just saved him from himself. Because of this, Logan decides that he's going to give his life to God. At the age of 25 years old, he decides that he's going to go off to Bible college to become a pastor.
25, so it's not like he went into the military young. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is later on in his life.
Pastor. And that's what he does. He is just reading his Bible and studying in college constantly. And
oh, so he's not even in the military at this point yet.
And his junior year of college, the draft starts for World War II in 1940.
There
and
you
at this
go.
point, at least, there's no exceptions for going to Bible college as getting you out of the draft, so he has to go. So he does the only thing he can do. He goes, he proposes to his girlfriend, gets engaged, and then sets off for the Army. Winds up at Camp Shelby, Mississippi for basic training. And
also, quick side note, can we get a good World War II military game again? It's been a while, and I want a good one. Let's go back. Yeah, I like modern. I don't want any sci-fi. We've got enough sci-fi. We've got Halo, right? We've got a lot of modern games at the moment. Battlefield 6 is sick, right? I want a World War II game. I want to be in the trenches with the boys, or a modern trench game in Ukraine. Be pretty sick.
When he first gets there, like just stepped off the bus to the base, they're in a big open field. There's a guy yelling that basically talking to hundreds of these kids that don't know what's going on. And he's like, okay, look, if you want to be infantry, go over there. You want to be artillery, go over there. You want to be a medic, go over there. You want to be this, go over there, yada, yada, yada. And he's looking around. He doesn't know what any of these words mean. He doesn't know what infantry is. He doesn't know what artillery is. This is 1940. There's no TV show. You can't Google this beforehand. You're not getting to pick a job. So he's like, I don't know what to pick. So for some reason, he picks infantry, thinking that sounds easy. Infants don't do a lot. I could probably do whatever the infantry does.
There may be a situation here in which a serious mistake was made.
From here, he goes to basic training, then he goes to infantry school, then he's just stationed at Camp Shelby, and the entire time he's also functioning as like a pseudo chaplain. Again, you got to remember he's like 27 years old at this point. A lot of the other
so he's gone in late. 27? Like, wow. That's late, considering the amount of awards this individual's won. Going in at 27 is quite interesting.
other people coming up are young 18-year-old kids.
Yeah.
There's a huge deficit or like lack of religious services available because of how quickly the U.S. military is growing. So he's leading prayer groups. He's, consulting and talking to guys that are having personal problems, much like a chaplain does. And then December 7th, 1941, Pearl Harbor gets attacked. And then within a matter of hours, he is ordered to move out, and he is somewhere along the Mississippi River at a choke point, basically pulling security on the Mississippi River in case the Japanese invade. You gotta remember, this is Pearl Harbor. It's complete chaos. Nobody knows what's gonna happen. There could be a land invasion at any minute. People have no idea. So he was just mobilized.
It must be so weird to live in a world where the tech isn't there to know what's going on instantly. And I'm holding it back. That rant about connectivity. I am a big believer that going analog is the future. If you want to save your mental health, going analog, disconnecting from the crazy AI world, not letting your creativity be handed to AI, mate, I could talk about it all day. I'm actually thinking of building a community of people, of individuals who believe the same as me, who read the classics, want to talk about that stuff, have good discussions, learn where to draw the line with technology so it's not at the detriment of our health, right? So we can be more connected. It's big, and I'm thinking of building that community. If you want to be part of that community, let me know in the comments. And I've got a name floating about, and it's very Lord of the Rings-esque, and I think you'll like it.
Somewhere that the Japanese might show up on the Mississippi River. And again, I presume because of the chaos in the days following Pearl Harbor, nobody knows what's going on, everybody's scrambling, he winds up camping along the Mississippi River with all of his guys for like a month. Like, he was mobilized within hours of Pearl Harbor being attacked and then just stood out there and made sure the Japanese didn't show up at a river for a month straight. Okay, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm trying to tell you, I'm pretty sure they forgot they sent him there, okay? Anyways, regardless, by the second week of January, he finally gets orders to head back to Camp Shelby, so he packs up all of his stuff, heads back to Camp Shelby, and when he gets there, he is immediately promoted to sergeant. And again, this is obviously because of Pearl Harbor. We're going to war, we're gonna need millions of new troops, millions of new draftees, millions of new volunteers. Pretty much anybody with any military experience at that moment was gonna get put in a leadership position, so they were promoting everybody. He then gets pulled into his CO's office, and CO tells him that he thinks that Logan would be a good fit for officer candidate school. Logan says he's interested. He goes off, he goes through like a board, like an interview type process, and when he gets kicked back, he gets rejected. Now, I don't know what happened in this interview, but apparently the promotion board's official reason for not promoting him was his religious convictions were too staunch, and they recommended him for a psychological evaluation. The commanding officer that had recommended him for officer candidate school finds out about this. He's pretty pissed off, feels bad for Logan, brings him back into his office. He apologizes, and then immediately promotes him to staff sergeant. A couple days after that, he gets orders, grab your shit, get on the train. He gets on the train. Next thing he knows, he's in San Francisco. Then they tell him, get on the boat. He gets on the boat. Next thing he knows, he's in some tropical paradise called Fiji, and he's training with the local
Fiji. If you know anything about Fiji, so the Fijis can join the British military, and there's a lot of Fiji lads part of the Royal Marines, and man, they can drink. They can drink and they can fight. There was a Fiji lad in my troop at 4-5 Commando, and he just joined the troop. Like, he was brand new out the box of training, gets to 4-5. We all go on a night out, and he walked to the officers' camp at 4-5, stole an officer's Mustang, pissed, and drove it off camp. And from that point on, his nickname was Mustang. They can fight and they can drink. That's why there's a lot of Fiji lads on the Royal Marines rugby team.
Islanders in jungle combat, these Fijian scouts. Apparently, they're all 6 foot tall. They're all 200 plus pounds, which in 1941 was a massive dude. And apparently, they are ungodly good at jungle warfare. He said that they would do mock war games and the Fijian scouts would just wait till night, so the Americans would have double, triple the normal amount of security, and somehow the Fijian scouts would still sneak into their camp and take markers and just put lines across people's necks while they were sleeping, simulating, I would have just killed you with a knife in your sleep.
Yeah.
I have a dick on my face, don't I?
And this is initially who's teaching him and all the rest of his guys how to operate in a jungle environment. And then when he's not training, he's still doing his pseudo chaplain thing. He's leading little prayer groups, religious services. He's counseling guys that are having trouble with stuff back home or just trouble in general. And that's what he does. And this goes on for months. And then one day they tell him, all right, get on the boats. From here, his ship kind of goes around the Pacific on these search and destroy missions. Basically, Navy intelligence is triangulating where Japanese radio signals are coming from on these little tiny itty itty bitty islands out in the ocean where the Japanese have left small contingencies of men that are basically just trying to track American ship and airplane movements and radioing it back to their intelligence. So they're triangulating where these guys are. They go in and destroy their outpost. Logan winds up going out on a couple of these missions, but all the outposts that he finds have already been abandoned, so they just destroy the equipment and head back to the ship. While that's going on, they celebrate Christmas of 1942 on the ship. They don't get any special food because the supply ship was sunk by an enemy submarine.
This is the worst.
Shortly after that, his convoy gets
got to be low on morale there on the ship. Christmas Day, no special food, no nothing. Low on morale, I bet. Lads were probably fuming at that.
Submarine, and he's on the deck watching the entire thing as the American Navy sinks this Japanese submarine, and this is like his defining, oh shit, this is for real moment. In his words, and I quote, "For the first time I realized that I was on my way to kill or be killed." Shortly after this, they are informed that they're going to be partaking in the first major Allied offensive against the Japanese by making an amphibious landing on an island known as Guadalcanal. Logan is then individually notified / congratulated because he is receiving a battlefield commission and he is now going to become a lieutenant. He's an officer now. He is then immediately informed that the platoon that he's taking charge of is going to be the first ones to land at Guadalcanal. Okay, just so we're all on the same page, from his perspective, you have to appreciate this. He's basically just been told he's going to lead the first 30 men into combat on offense against the Japanese, and he got promoted to do it. So in the back of his head, he's got to be thinking like, okay, either A, they think I'm awesome. Probably not very likely considering I have no combat experience. B, I just got promoted to be a sacrificial lamb.
Seriously, you would be thinking that. You would be thinking B, right? No combat experience, gets a commission, and is told that you're going to be first landing. Don't know about you, but that feels like a sacrificial lamb to me.
I have no combat experience. B, I just got promoted to be a sacrificial lamb.
Great.
But if he celebrated Christmas on a ship in 1942, he couldn't have. Shut up. I know what you're going to say. Just shut up. You're going to ruin the story. I'm going to address it. All right?
I wonder how many chapters are in this.
They board the amphibious landing ships. Logan and his platoon are the first ones in the first ship. They're making their way towards the island. They're getting closer and closer and closer. And then the door on the Higgins boat drops. And like, this is it. This is the moment. Adrenaline's high. This is the moment he's supposed to run out of that Higgins boat onto the beach, engage the enemy in combat, and get revenge for Pearl Harbor. And that's exactly what he goes to do. He's the first one off that Higgins boat. As he runs, jumps off that door into the water.
Nothing happens.
Immediately sinks up to his neck in the ocean. Wind immediately taken out of his sails. Cool guy moment, gone forever, and it is now turned into an oh shit moment as he desperately tries to run through the ocean to get to this beach as fast as he can. Which obviously isn't very fast, but luckily they're not taking enemy gunfire or artillery or anything, so they all make it to the beach. He establishes a beachhead, gets all of his men accounted for, and then they kind of wait for some more people to make the landing on the beach, and then they push further inland. At this point, Logan and probably everybody else is thinking in their head like, okay, well, this was supposed to be a major battle where the
I'd be thinking, I'm just absolutely soaking on this beach now and I gotta get dry. Well, it's probably not cold because it's tropical, but you'd be like, I'm just soaking. I'm just so wet through. This fucking sucks.
first Americans to land to engage the enemy. Where are these guys? We know they're here. We're about to walk face first into an ambush. That's what's about to happen. Anxiety is very high. But hey, somebody's got to do it. So they go. They push further inland, waiting for this ambush to come. And after a couple hundred yards, they find the enemy. Or what's left of the enemy. There's dead guys and chunks of dead bad guys everywhere that's been left rotting out in the sun. There's supplies scattered all over the place. Anything that even slightly resembled a structure has been completely destroyed. Somebody has already been here and just laid waste to this entire thing. So they kind of just take up a holding position and wait for orders, and then, you know, word comes down, they get everything figured out. Apparently the Marines have beaten the army here by like 2 months.
It's always the Marines. It's my boys. We're always there first, to get in there first, to get the action done first. We just don't want to miss the party. Got to be there a bit early. I mean, 5 minutes early.
Come, Gimli! We're gaining on them!
I'm wasted on cross country. Wait, war!
Sidebar, I love this part of the story because all I can think about is the TV show The Pacific, when the Army shows up after the Marines have already been there, and the Marines show up and raid all the Army supplies because they're starving. Also worth mentioning, his Army unit was not the first Army unit to make it to the island either, okay? The Marine Corps made it there on August 7th, 1942. The Army got there in October of 1942. He celebrated Christmas on his ship in 1942, then went out on some more search and destroy missions on different islands. His unit doesn't even get there till like April of 1943. The Guadalcanal campaign
How did they not know that it had already been taken then?
is declared a victory in February.
Missed it by that much.
Ken, I know what you're thinking. Why? Why would you tell the story that way if you knew this all along? Okay? Couple of reasons. Reason number one, it pisses off the keyboard warriors, and I love doing that. It's like my second favorite pastime after shitting on communism. And two, you have to realize this is a story from the first person perspective, which is an incredible way to learn history. Could I have just used the internet and the hindsight being 2020 thing to be like, yeah, he showed up to Guadalcanal 7 months after the Marines got there, and the battle was pretty much over by the time he got there, and then moved on with the story? Yeah, I could have, but then you
Yeah, but the fat electrician is good at storytelling. It builds suspense. It's good.
don't get a proper grasp on how incredibly confusing and misinformed a singular person on the battlefield can be in regards to the information that they have at the time. And you would never be able to understand that while the battle was already over by the time he got there, he didn't know that at the time. So when that door on the Higgins boat dropped, he was fully expecting to get lit up by enemy machine gun fire. Once he fell in the ocean and was wading through neck-deep water, he was expecting to get shot in the head by an enemy sniper at any moment. So while in reality, hindsight being 2020, he was never actually in any danger other than maybe drowning in the ocean, he still performed an incredible act of bravery. Sorry, I'm getting sidetracked. Guadalcanal, the battle, like I said, ended in February. The main battle is wrapped up for the most part. The only thing left is there's small squads and individual guys or groups of 2 and 3 that are out in the jungles conducting guerrilla warfare. So he does go out on multiple patrols trying to find these guys, and on one occasion, he does. He takes his men out, they're patrolling through this really dense jungle. They're in a single file line on this narrow path through the jungle. He rounds a bend and literally bumps into 3 Japanese soldiers. Immediately, before he even knows what happens, shoots all 3 of them. After inspecting their bodies inside of the helmets of one of the dead Japanese soldiers, he finds a family picture of him, his wife, and his child, and it eats him alive. He prays about it a ton. He didn't want to kill anybody. He knows that, but ultimately he just comes to accept what he already knew the moment he saw that submarine go down. It was kill or be killed. Once they get back from patrol,
that's the thing. You probably would have died if you didn't instantly take them 3. You probably would have died, and it's a shit situation. Seeing that family photo probably wrecks him. I don't know. He's probably not alive anymore, but it probably wrecked him until the day he died, unless he's still alive, which I very much doubt it. But still. That's horrendous.
He winds up telling his commander everything that happens. He's expecting like a good job, an attaboy. You took out 3 of the enemy. I sent you out into the jungle to find him. You found him. You did your job. Good job. That's not what he gets. He gets a tremendous ass chewing from his commanding officer because there's no reason that an officer should have been out in front. He should have had, you know, his lower enlisted men leading the way, and his life should have never even been at risk. He should have let somebody else do that for him. And Logan pushes back against the commanding officer. He's like, I'm sorry. I thought I was commissioned to lead my troops, not drive them. And this pretty much solidifies his leadership style of he basically made a vow to himself that he's never going to ask one of the men under his command to do something that he wasn't willing to do himself. From here, the next 2.5 to 3 months that he spends on Guadalcanal, he's still going out on patrols. He does get involved in some more skirmishes, but they don't need everybody patrolling the jungle, so they end up doing a ton more jungle warfare training. And when he's not doing that, in his free time, he pretty much gives all of his time to being a pseudo-chaplain to all the men, because obviously not a lot of religious leaders on Guadalcanal at the time. And
we had a chaplain in training in Limpston when you become when you're training to become a Royal Marines Commando. There's a chaplain there, and you go and visit them. It's like 3 times through training, and it's like a mandatory visit. Like you have to go, unless you like specify that you're a different religion, I think. But that was never really something I witnessed. Everyone just went. And I feel like, because I'm not a religious person, I'm not Christian at all. And it's not like I'm anti-Christian. I just don't believe in it. And I remember being there and being like, how do you become? How do you land a job like this? Like, it's such a specialized thing. Like, you can think of mortars or snipers or special forces or mountain leader or driver or clerk or chef, and you can kind of see the path that you would take to get to that point. But like a chaplain? Like what? Like a priest? How do you do, like, what is that? Like, I don't even know how you even, like, that is a path in, like, civilian life. Like, who pays you? I don't know any. I'm so dumb to this topic because I don't really know much about organized religion. So I literally just have no idea.
Fortunately, this is that point in the war where a lot of soldiers start getting Dear John letters from back home where their wives or fiancés or girlfriends are leaving them for somebody else. And he's doing everything he can to help those guys through it. And this is where he really starts to pick up his nickname, the Fighting Preacher, or Preacher for short. Then after about 3 months, they get the orders, get on the boats, we're gonna go invade another island, and this time, it's for real.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Surrounded. That doesn't sound like a good
July 3rd,
chapter.
1943, they board the ship. Once they get on the ship, they start telling everybody the plan. We're going over to a nearby island called New Georgia. There's an airstrip on the island. We got to take the airstrip. The obvious spot of attack is going to be the south side of the island. So under the cover of night, we're going to sail right past the south side of the island, and we're going to land on the north side of the island to catch the enemy by surprise. Once we get there, we'll open up with a naval bombardment to soften up the landings. You'll board the Higgins boats, and then you'll go take the island. That's the plan. Fast forward 3 o'clock in the morning, July 4th, 1943. They're here. It's time to go. We're going to make the landings. The Allied forces open up with this gigantic naval bombardment, and it has the opposite of the desired effect. It does not silence the enemy. It's more like stirring up a hornet's nest. Within a matter of minutes, enemy airplanes are in the air. They're dropping flares over the ships, so now it's basically broad daylight, even though it's 3 o'clock in the morning. And Preacher and the rest of the guys can now see that the Japanese are shooting artillery back at them as well. Then the destroyer that they're on starts zigzagging because there's enemy submarines in the area, and within a matter of a couple of minutes, the entire ship gets rocked, presumably by an enemy torpedo, and within minutes, they're calling to abandon ship. Okay, now we got a big problem because the Higgins boats aren't here yet. Okay, now typically the Higgins boats are stored inside of another ship or on top of another ship, and then they're craned off, lowered into the water, and somebody drives the Higgins boat up next to the destroyer or the troop transport. They drop that cargo netting down the side, and the guys climb down the cargo netting and get in the Higgins boats. We don't have time for—
Yeah, I was going to say, they do not have time for that. If you've already been rocked, you can wait for another ship to come, unload that stuff. Do you know how long all that shit takes? Like,
all that shit. They didn't give us a timeline. They
literally
said, get off the ship. So Logan and pretty much everybody else just start jumping overboard with their full kit. Backpack, gun, ammunition, everything they need to take on a mission.
Lads sinking.
They're just jumping into the ocean at 3 o'clock in the morning. Luckily, the Higgins boats were already on their way, so they wind up meeting up with a Higgins boat in the ocean, and the guys in the Higgins boat pull them up top. Logan gets himself and all of his platoon into a Higgins boat, and last he knew, the order was to take New Georgia, so—
Wait, they've got all the gear. They jump in the water and they don't just sink.
that's where they head. They make it to the beach. It is enemy machine gun fire everywhere. There's enemy planes overhead trying to drop bombs on them, and it's like this coral ground that they can't even dig into. So all the guys are just finding any tiny little depression they can and trying to hide in it. As this battle rages on, Logan gets all of his platoon accounted for. Everybody made it to the beach, which is great. Then he moves on to, you know, assembling the bigger picture of the battlefield. He's the officer. He has to know what's going on to tell his men what to do, and he starts looking for the other officers. He can't find any, and he starts to realize that 2/3 of his battalion made it to the beach and another third didn't, and in that third that didn't is apparently most of the other officers, and he is now in charge of the rest of this battalion, even though he's only a second lieutenant. Daylight comes, they fight tooth and nail all day long, agonizingly slow, and by evening on that first day, they've managed to get about 300 yards deep on the beach and about a mile wide. That's their beachhead. That's all they've got. By this point, other high-ranking officers have made it onto the beach, and they make the call that they're not going to keep pushing into the jungle as the sun's going down, because it just seems like a bad idea to follow the enemy into the jungle in the dark. So they decide to set up security for the night, and they're going to handle the rest in the morning. Morning comes around, Logan gets the order that he's supposed to reestablish contact with—
Imagine being one of them lads. Like, you jumped off a ship, you've managed to scrape yourself onto a beach, and now you're just waiting out for orders. You might have just got a Dear John letter not long ago. You're probably just like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, what a shit way to start your life.
The enemy, aka go fucking get them. From here, they basically use this beachhead as a base and conduct patrols into the—
Because, yeah, when I say start your life, a lot of these lads were young, by the way. This guy isn't that we're talking about right now, but a lot of these were really young lads.
Jungle looking for the enemy. Logan doesn't go into great detail of like play-by-play of what happens every single patrol, but he does say during this period of time, all of his men picked up the habit of shooting and or bayoneting every dead Japanese guy they saw because they figured out pretty quick that the Japanese like to pretend to be dead and then try to shoot you in the back after you walk by. He also said during this period of time, he and his men became experts in clearing out Japanese machine gun nests. As soon as that Japanese machine gun would open fire, everybody would hit the deck. They'd return so much suppressing fire that the Japanese couldn't look up to man the gun, and while they were keeping their heads down, somebody would run up there with grenades and clear them out. This goes on every day for about 2 weeks straight, and then his platoon gets relieved by a Marine unit, and they get sent back to the beach to get some R&R and then wait for new orders. After a couple of days of hanging out on the beach, new orders come down, and here's basically what's going on the island at this point. The Japanese have brought in reinforcements to defend this airfield, and the Marine and the Army units that are trying to take the airfield are basically stuck in a stalemate. So Logan and his battalion are being sent in, okay? Battalion, not company, not platoon, battalion. Like 900 guys are being sent in, and their job is going to be to...
Wow, look at that. Old archived maps. There's the platoon right there. Wow.
block the main supply road leading to this airport to cut off Japanese supply.
There's the airport down there at the bottom. Wow, look at that. I love looking at stuff like this, these maps. So cool.
And their job is going to be to block the main supply road leading to this airport to cut off Japanese supplies so it weakens them so they can take over this airfield.
That makes sense.
It's like 17 miles away and there are no roads. They're going to have to traverse 17 miles of this jungle island terrain to get there. So they set off carrying 5 days worth of food and water on their backs, and it is absolutely miserable. It's either cliffs made out of coral like this, or it's dense jungle, or it's swamps. Pretty much the entire 900-man element is marching through potentially enemy territory in a single file line. It is a slow and painful journey, and the entire way they're rotating out which platoon is at the very front leading point. When it's time for Logan's platoon to lead point, he's got a couple of scouts out in front of him, then it's him, and then 900 guys behind him in a straight line walking through the enemy jungle. They're like an hour into his shift at leading point, and all of a sudden he hears a gunshot from out in front of him.
Oh, shit. By the way, like, as a side note, I couldn't imagine taking charge of 900 lads. Like, maybe, I don't know, like, I don't see myself as someone who is astute enough to do something like that. Like, I just don't think that... Maybe I do have the capacity to do something like that, but I feel like it's the response, like the weight on your shoulders you must have, knowing that 900 lads are in your care. Like, that is a big amount of pressure, in my opinion. Like, don't get me wrong, like, I know, like, I have a big audience on YouTube, right? Like, and what I say gets spread to more than 900 people, right? Maybe when you're watching this video, there's probably more than 900 views, right? So 900 people. I understand that. But it's having the responsibility of the people you're talking to, the people you're giving ideas to, their lives are in your hands. Not only that, you're going to have casualties. Like, some of them are going to die. And you've got to, like, understand that that's been under your care. That is a responsibility that I wouldn't want to put on anyone. Like, some people like thrive to be an officer. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know if that's for me. You know, I'd rather, and it's not that I'm not like I wouldn't be a leader. I just don't mind not having that pressure. Like, I know how to soldier, and sitting back here in a chair and playing a video game with 900 characters that you're trying to survive. I could do that, like, and I think I would be pretty good at the tactical element of it, but I don't know, if one person dies, that's in your care, you know? Oh, I don't know about that.
Pretty much everybody else hits the dirt, assuming they're getting ambushed, and then after a couple of seconds, nothing. No more gunshots. It's just quiet. After a couple of seconds, Logan gets absolutely pissed. He's thinking in his head, like, okay, one of my scouts just shot at an animal or accidentally dropped his gun and fired off a round while we're trying to sneak 900 guys through enemy-held territory and risk everybody's lives. I gotta go up there and see what the fuck is going on. So he marches up there, finds his scout, and he's about to chew this guy out, basically asks him, what just happened? Why are you shooting your gun? And then up above him in the trees, he hears something falling and rustling around in the trees, and it's making its way down, and then a Japanese rifle falls right at his feet in front of him and the scouts. And then something even bigger starts rustling in the trees, making its way down, and then a dead Japanese soldier falls right on top of the rifle, and the scout looks at him and goes, I didn't have enough time to take the shot I wanted. I'm pretty sure he was aiming at you. And Logan's like, oh, all right, good. Good work.
Wow.
After that, the formation keeps making this
Wow.
arduous journey towards
Jesus
the objective, and it
Christ.
takes them 4 days straight to cover 17 miles. But eventually, they make
4 days to cover 17 miles? Now, okay, let's think about that, right? That's like 4.25 miles per day. That's it. And they've got, like, I understand there's 900 lads. Traversing any sort of terrain with 900 lads is always going to be stressful, right? But the fact that they're only covering, 4 to 5 miles per day, that terrain must have been absolutely dog shit. I was out on the mountains in Wales, in Snowdonia, which, by the way, if you're from the US watching this video, Google Wales, the country Wales here in the United Kingdom, and then Snowdonia. The mountains they're not as big. Like Snowdon, which is like the biggest mountain in the UK. I think it's like just a little bit smaller than Mount Katahdin in Maine, which is the last mountain on the Appalachian Trail. So it's not like a ginormous mountain, but it is beautiful. Trafan, the mountain Trafan, is just stunning. Anyway, I digress. I was traversing them, and we covered, I think it was like 7 or 8 miles within the day. But we're talking like mountains where some of them we had to scramble up and rock climb up and all this other stuff. So imagine what the terrain was like to only do 4 or 5 miles a day.
to the objective, they identify the trail, then they backtrack, they find a small knoll, they dig trenches, they set up a defensive fighting position in case they get attacked, and then they're going to be able to launch ambushes on this trail to shut down the Japanese supply lines. And pretty much as soon as they get their trenches dug, they get attacked instead. They repel multiple attacks all day and all night, and then it starts raining. And they repel multiple attacks the next day, and it keeps raining. And by the time they realize how dire their situation actually is, the rain and the tropical humidity has destroyed the batteries in the radio, and they have no contact with the outside world. By this point, they have been attacked from every direction and know that they are completely surrounded and totally outnumbered. And if that wasn't bad enough, they only brought 5 days worth of food with them, and it took them 4 days to get here. And it keeps raining.
We've been through every kind of rain there is.
And this goes on for days, just sitting in a trench in the rain, can't get up, can't look out, completely surrounded. Sometimes they're launching bonsai attacks, they'll repel the attack, but that's it. They can't go anywhere. They're just stuck, held there by the enemy. And then eventually days turn into weeks. Everybody is starving. The only water they're getting is by taking their canteen cups and catching rain to drink it. They start eating any edible plant that's anywhere nearby. They're doing everything they can to survive, but they are actually starving to death. It's absolutely awful. Guys are sitting in trenches that are full of water. They're getting trench foot. They're getting other skin infections. Guys are getting sick. They're all starving. And to make things worse, the Japanese bodies that have been out there for over a week or 2 weeks at this point are starting to rot in the tropical humidity, and it reeks. Logan's doing everything he can for the men in his platoon, going from foxhole to foxhole, trying to check in on everybody at least once a day to give everybody words of reassurance, but he knows it's looking bleak, and so do they. At the beginning,
because if you turn around, that's another 4 or 5 days back. And if you know anything about yomping and hiking, doing that after a firefight, well hungry the whole time, it's going to be even longer. So you're talking like 8 and 9 days to get back. Lads are going to be dropping off and dying.
Of the third week of being surrounded, cut off, and starving,
Logan
wakes up with this big-ass beetle on his chest, and this beetle like kind of flares its like wings open to take off, and when it does that, a single grain of rice falls onto his chest, and he's just kind of looking at it, and he has an epiphany. The Japanese soldiers probably have sacks of rice on them for food. That night, under the cover of darkness,
I feel like surely they thought of that already, that the Japanese must have, some of them must have been searching for food.
Logan grabs a couple of guys, they crawl out into no man land and start scavenging bags of rice off the dead Japanese soldiers and bring it back and
maybe they just couldn't get to the enemy to do that then.
Distribute it amongst all the men. It's not much, but it's the only thing they've had in weeks and the only thing that keeps them going. On the 27th day, the battalion commander calls the officers in for a meeting because he's got some news, and most of the other officers are too sick, wounded, or dead to even show up. And Logan isn't doing great himself. He's lost a ton of weight. He's sick. He's sucking just like everybody else, but but for some reason, he's in the best shape. So he pretty much gets given this mission by default. The commander basically tells Logan that by now, 27 days later, there was another massive army unit that was supposed to land nearby. He wants to send Logan out with some guys and see if he can find this unit and get help. Obviously, Logan's platoon, or any platoon for that matter in the battalion, isn't capable of doing this mission by themselves, so Logan has to go around and just pick anybody that's physically capable of maybe traversing this jungle for miles on end. And out of the 900 men they came with, he finds 34 guys that might be able to do it. So they take off. They're not moving fast, but hey, they're moving. And shockingly enough, they don't actually run into the enemy. His best guess is that army unit did land somewhere nearby, and these guys have all been diverted to go handle them. After about 6 miles of traversing this jungle, they hear footsteps off in the distance. He orders his guys off the trail. They only go a couple feet off the trail. The jungle's so thick, nobody's going to be able to see them. They'll be able to walk right by. And as these guys go walking by, they're Americans.
Oh
Logan
my
and his guys
God. Could you imagine the relief? The relief when you see like a US flag, just a US uniform. Wow.
Contact, and these guys are actually out looking for what they called the Lost Battalion.
Right here. Yeah, that's it.
From here, they double back, they grab even more fresh guys, then Logan takes them back to his battalion. They get everybody evacuated to a safe area on the island and get everybody medical treatment. Bear in mind, Logan is
the Lost Battalion. It reminds me of like that Eagle Battalion in the Roman army that went up to Scotland and got lost. And they just disappeared forever.
one of the guys in the best shape out of this 900, and it takes him 3 weeks to recuperate, to regain weight, and get all of his skin and foot problems healed up. And on the second week of his recuperation, he gets some mail addressed to him, and it is post-dated 14 months prior. So the mail is finally reaching him. It's just 14 months late. He got 2 letters. One of them is from mom and dad, and the other one is from his lovely fiance. Mom and dad wrote him to let him know, oh, by the way, we're getting a divorce. Okay, that sucks. Opens up the next letter. Oh, his fiance's leaving him. Perfect. But he's already been through so much shit this past month, it like doesn't even faze him. He's just like numb to everything. He's like Forrest Gump.
One less thing.
By the 3rd week, pretty much everyone...
No, he's probably emotionally absolutely messed up, has severe depression and PTSD, and just can't express his emotions anymore. So he gets the letter and he's just like... Life can't get any worse.
In the battalion that isn't going to need long-term care is in as good a shape as they're going to get in. They get some new reinforcements, and the battalion is sent back out on a new mission. They're supposed to go out to some hill called Terracaba Hill, like 11 miles away, and establish a defensive fighting position there and just wait for the enemy, I guess. But this time, they do have 6 indigenous guys that are going to function as guides for the battalion, and one of them gets assigned to Logan, and this guy's name is Beatty. So Logan, Beatty, the rest of the battalion take off, march their happy asses 11 miles through the jungle, get to Terracaba Hill, and set up a defensive fighting position just like they were instructed to do. And you're never going to guess what happens. They get completely surrounded again almost immediately.
That's what they changed. We're trapped.
And this time, it's for 21 days straight. The difference is they're all fairly healthy to begin with, and now they know how to play the game, and they don't give a single fuck about the enemy.
Yeah, I was going to say, these lads who have already done this before, like to be like, oh, you're going to be trapped there again, the lads will be like, let's fucking go. Like, we can do this now. We've done it before. We can do it again. This is why you do hard things in training. This is why you do the 30-miler as when you want to get your green lid as a Royal Marines, is because when you get into a unit and you go on operations, if they're like, oh, you've got to yomp 20 miles, you're like, yeah, fuck yeah. That's only 2/3 of what I've already done before. Like, it's doing things hard so that when you do them again, you're like, yeah, I know I can do this. So them lads who are in the absolute thick of it are now like, we've done this before. We've survived before. Let's do it again, boys.
Immediately, they're taking all the rice off the dead Japanese soldiers.
There you go.
The native guys are showing them all the tips and tricks that the natives know. Like, oh, we can actually eat this type of bark. We can use this plant. It's good seasoning. They're actually cooking different forms of rice. They're like figuring out, oh, if I cook the rice with this bark off this tree, it tastes like chicken broth. And if I use this nut over here, it ends up tasting like oysters. Like, they're literally playing Master Chef, seeing who can come up with the best local cuisine
sick.
while they're in an active firefight for 21 days straight.
Real hearty, rustic, wholesome.
I realize how insane it sounds.
Do you know Gordon Ramsay's son's in the Royal Marines? And Gordon Ramsay went to Lympstone where the Royal Marines trained to help fix the rations and the meals there.
Sounds that these guys are just like having a frat party in the middle of this firefight, but I'm going to read you a direct quote from Logan. Quote, "Between lulls and firing, we would argue in defense of our culinary opinions. We refused to let the enemy disturb us. If he came too close, he would be the recipient of a burst of machine gun or rifle fire. If he prowled at night, he would be sure to intercept a grenade."
Bye-bye. Thank you for coming by. Have a good day. I'm going to go enjoy my watch.
He then goes on to say, and I quote, "We were surrounded, but it just didn't bother us anymore." By the 19th day, apparently the battalion commander decides that the party needs to come to an end. He needs somebody to go penetrate behind enemy lines, make contact with an allied unit, and, you know, come in and clean this situation up. Logan Weston basically gets assigned the task because he is the most experienced patrol officer in the battalion. He gets given...
That changed quickly, didn't it? From being the least experienced to the most.
33 of the best in shape guys, and he takes his local guide, Beatty, with him. From here, Logan and Beatty and the other 30 guys with him all get together in an area, and then a bunch of the other guys in the battalion get ready, and they've identified the weakest spot in the enemy line. The battalion lays down a bunch of covering fire. They punch through this weak spot in the enemy line, and these 30 guys plus Beatty and Logan disappear into the jungle. Once they really get moving, Beatty is absolutely incredible. This guy is having them ducking and dodging and avoiding the Japanese left and right. They're like invisible ghosts in the jungle under this guy's guidance. After about 4 miles, they get to a spot where they need to exercise a little bit more caution. And remember, Logan's the kind of commander where he's not going to ask anybody to do anything he wouldn't do himself. So he grabs Beatty, and those two take off to scout everything beforehand to make sure it's not an enemy ambush. They're making their way down this trail. Logan
Don't get many officers like that these days. They'll put himself on the line like that. Not many of them. Not many of them around.
And turns a corner, and off in the distance, he sees a Japanese soldier, and the Japanese soldier is raising his rifle and pointing it at Logan. Logan, realizing that he's about to lose a quick draw contest, immediately drops to his knees and hip fires towards the guy. Doesn't hit him, but it scares the guy enough that he jumps into the brush. And from here, all hell breaks loose. There's rifle fire and machine gun fire coming from the left, the right, down the trail, absolutely everywhere. They turn and start running. They dive off the trail. They wind up making their way into this swamp and swim through and hide in this swamp. After they're convinced that they lost him, they climb out of this swamp. Immediately, he realizes, like, I've had so much adrenaline pumping, I'm not sure if I've been shot or if Beatty's been shot. So they wipe the mud off Beatty, check him out. He's perfectly fine. Then they start wiping the mud off him. He's got a bullet hole in his helmet right above his right eye. Oh shit. Takes the helmet off, checks his head. The bullet had entered the helmet and skirted around the helmet till it lost velocity. Didn't even touch him. Continues checking.
Could you imagine looking at that helmet, noticing that happens, and then just looking up at your mate and just being like, holy fuck. Like, I don't know about you, but I'd just burst out laughing. Cheerfulness in the face of adversity, right?
Checking himself out. He's got a bullet wedged in the heel of his boot. Another bullet had apparently cut the watch off of his wrist and grazed him. And a fourth bullet had apparently glanced off of one of his frag grenades, and he was completely fine.
We should be fucking dead, man.
So they start making their way back to the platoon, and Beat.
So that's 4 rounds that should have killed it. Well, the one in the boot wouldn't have killed him if it hit him in the foot, but still.
He is just like blown away talking to Logan, like, wow, your God must be really powerful to be able to protect you like that. I need to know more about this guy. Like, can I worship this God? Can I be part of the club? What do I got to do? And Logan, AKA Preacher, is like, yeah, man, of course you can. Just, accept God as your, Lord and Savior and love him. He'll love you back. Bada bing, bada boom. You're a Christian. Hearing that, Beatty's in. So like him and Logan stop for a minute. They say a prayer together. And in Beatty's mind, he is now like a complete reborn again Christian. And from his perspective, he now thinks that he's basically immune to bullets. So he's so excited and pumped that he like starts singing and dancing loudly as they're walking back to the guys through enemy territory. And Logan is trying to get this guy to shut the fuck up, but he can't because now he thinks that bullets don't affect him. And then, as fate would have it, apparently him singing scares a group of parrots or some kind of fucking bird, and they take off and start squawking, and the birds apparently scared a bunch of monkeys, and then the monkeys start running around screeching, and the next thing you know, all of the wildlife in the area is running around making a shit ton of noise, and apparently this convinces the Japanese that a much larger element of guys is headed their direction, so they're able to make it back to his platoon without a single shot being fired, and then the platoon is able to make it back to the battalion under the cover of all this noise.
So put on the food. Oh my God. I love you, God.
They're back at the hill.
That must have been insane to see in real life. You've just like said, yeah, you're a Christian now to this guy. He's dancing. You probably mate, shut the fuck up. What? That's absolutely insane and hilarious.
With the battalion for 2 days before the battalion commander decides, fuck this, we gotta punch through and reconvene with this bigger army unit so we can get out of here. They march the entire battalion into the jungle with Logan leading point the entire time, and for 4 days they launch multiple attacks on different spots on the enemy line, trying to punch through. And again, as fate would have it, on the 4th day, other army units and Marines launched their attack on the airfield on the island, which caused all the Japanese in the area to fall back to defend the airfield, and they were finally able to punch through. They're able to reconnect with the 25th Infantry Division, those other units were able to take the airfield, and the New Georgia campaign is essentially over. Logan's battalion gets put on R&R for the next 2 weeks, where his main goal is to try to regain some weight, because over the course of this campaign, he's gone from 185 pounds to 119 pounds. After that, his unit gets sent back to Guadalcanal, where they're going to get new reinforcements, new equipment, everything they need to accept their new mission, and after 3 days on being in Guadalcanal, Logan hears about a call going out requesting guys with extensive jungle warfare experience to go on a super dangerous secret mission. They're not even going to tell you what it is unless you accept it. Logan hears this and is like,
he's like, mate, that's made for me. That's literally made for me.
I mean, my fiance just left me, my parents are getting a divorce, and I just had a party in the jungle for the past 21 days. Fuck it, why not? I'll go.
Wow. Chapter 5, where we're at. We'll do one more chapter, and then we'll split this in 2. And we'll watch the next one tomorrow.
Within 24 hours of volunteering for this dangerous mission, he is then told to get on a boat. That boat takes him to an island. Then they stop there for a little bit. Then they go to another island, then another island. And the next thing he knows, he's in Australia. Everybody's talking funny. He's there for a little bit. Then they tell him to get on the boat again. They take him to some place called India. And he is like, what the fuck is going on here?
I started looking out the window. I was like, what the fuck? Gun store, liquor store, gun store. Where the fuck are you taking me?
They start boarding all these beat up, rickety trains going from place to place, and there's just extreme poverty everywhere at these train stations. Nobody speaks English. It's overwhelming. This dude was born in a cabin in the woods in 1914 up in Pennsylvania. He doesn't have the internet. He's never seen the Indian street food vendor videos. He's just completely over.
The ones where there's like rats climbing over and they're just stirring shit with their hands.
Overwhelmed. And he still has no idea where he's
Imagine seeing that for the first time. You'd be like, where the fuck am I? You've never seen that culture in your life.
going. Eventually, they wind up at some like training area that is within eye shot of the Taj Mahal, and he's just like... Again, imagine growing up in a cabin in the woods in 1914 in Pennsylvania, and the first time you hear or see about the Taj Mahal, it's in person. From here, they just start conducting more jungle warfare training. So now, once all the guys are here, they kind of figure out they got about 3,000 guys. They split them up into 3 different battalions. You've got Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie. From what I understand, Alpha group was basically fresh recruits. Bravo group was new guys that didn't have combat experience, but they had gone through a bunch of jungle warfare training. And Charlie group, which is where Logan winds up getting attached to, is the group of guys that were all recruited from Guadalcanal in the Pacific that have a ton of jungle warfare combat experience. So
I bet that group was insane. That's the type of group that when they have a drink in them, when they go on R&R, it kicks off.
they get to training in jungle warfare. Obviously, the Charlie group guys are trying to help out the Alpha and Bravo group guys, giving them all the tips, tricks, and pointers that they learned during their actual combat experience. Outside of that, they run into another problem. They brought 3,000 guys on this super dangerous volunteer-only mission, and they didn't assign a single chaplain to these guys, so they don't have any religious services or anything. So Logan steps up, and he starts doing it in his free time. And this is where he really solidifies his nickname, the Fighting Preacher. And just so we're all on the same page, if you've never been in the military and you don't know, there's more to being a chaplain in the military than just like giving a religious service on Sunday and letting guys pray with you. It's really important. A lot of the times, even if you don't believe in any God, you still might have to go to the chaplain because they're at times the only resource you have to help resolve family issues.
1,000,000,000%. 1,000,000,000. I literally said that at the start of this video that you have to go. And yeah, I remember him saying stuff like, you can come and talk to me about anything. It doesn't have to be religious. Like, you can come and talk to me about family issues. If you've got problems going on mentally. Like, I remember that specifically, that the chaplain was like, you can come to me for anything. And even if it's like something you're concerned about with your training team or like basically like welfare, that's what it is.
For example, some of the stuff that Logan actually had to deal with was that you have soldiers getting Dear John letters, their wives are leaving them and divorcing them, and in order for the divorce to go through legally, they need the husband's signature, but because he's in the military, they also need his commanding officer's signature or an officer's signature. So these guys are bringing all these important documents that an officer needs to sign off on to him to handle these issues, because otherwise you're trying to reach out to like generals and dudes that are more worried about the battlefield. I don't have time for your family issues. He even had a guy whose house burnt down back home, and his wife needed to get the husband's signature and the commanding officer's signature so that the insurance would pay out money so his wife could have somewhere to stay. And Logan steps in and fills that void. So he really is doing really important work in his free time. I mean, imagine
it's not just important work, like it actually means a lot to the lads. Like this type of stuff, it creates a true bond, and all them lads that are in dire need of a little bit of reassurance are probably going to him. They're going because of these legal documents, but they're also finding some sort of like closure and like advice and help and creating quite a fucking strong bond. And so it's only going to solidify him as like a good person within that battalion.
you were a soldier going on a super dangerous mission, you don't even know what it is yet, and back home, your wife and kids had the house burned down, and you can't get them money until somebody signs a piece of paper for you. That's the most important thing in the world. Also, during this 3 months, they wind up finding out who their commander is, General Merrill, which is where they obviously get their nickname, Merrill's Marauders. And then they find out what their mission is, and it's pretty much absolutely insane. All right, so here's what's going on. The Empire of Japan's trying to take over pretty much all of Southeast Asia and China, and they have basically got China in a bad position. They've essentially cut China off from the rest of the world. There's no way to get supplies in and out of China so they can receive aid from the Allies.
It's crazy when you think of like how powerful China is now. Like they were like the ones in trouble against Japan.
So the Allies need to figure out a way to be able to get supplies into China to help them out. And the way they are going to do this is with these guys, Merrill's Marauders. They're going to send them on foot from India into Burma, where they are then going to conduct guerrilla warfare against the Japanese so that they can secure the Burma road and have a way to get stuff in.
What a mission.
150 miles of the worst terrain imaginable just to get to where the mission actually starts. And then it's another 800 miles of fighting through enemy-held territory. Can I know what you're thinking? If the entire problem is we can't get supplies into this area, how on earth are we going to be able to get these guys food, water, and ammunition to fight in the jungle, burning 5,000, 6,000, 8,000 calories a day when we can't get supplies there? How is that going to work? Oh, simple. We're just going to airdrop stuff in whenever they need it. Okay, I'm going to say that again a bit slower. The plan is to penetrate hundreds upon hundreds of miles into enemy-held jungle. You have no backup. You have no resources other than aerial supply drops. And by the way, every time an aerial supply drop comes, it kind of alerts the enemy as to where you're fucking at.
And it goes absolutely everywhere. What an absolutely horrendous idea.
When an aerial supply drop comes, it kind of alerts the enemy as to where you're fucking at.
You don't have a better bad idea than this?
This is the best bad idea we have, sir. By far.
And then one day they bring in a bunch of officers for a meeting and they ask for a volunteer to accept a very dangerous mission, at which all the officers are kind of looking around like, I thought we already did that. Are you asking me to double down? Like, we're already inside of a very dangerous volunteer-only mission. You want another volunteer inside of that to go on another very dangerous mission in respect to what we're already doing? Nobody volunteers. So the commanding officer, seeing that he has no volunteers, scans the room and sees Logan Weston, who's quite a bit taller than most of the rest of the officers, and everybody knows who he is. That's Preacher. He's got a big name, and everybody knows he has extensive jungle warfare experience. And the commanding officer...
He's got pinged. He's got absolutely pinged for something here, hasn't he?
Just says, Preacher, thank you for volunteering. Congratulations, you are now the commanding officer of Charlie Group's INR platoon. Which, if you don't know, INR, Intelligence and Reconnaissance, aka the Scouting Platoon. So
yeah, like the Recce Group, basically. Holy shit.
Basically, it is now going to be the job of Logan and his 30 to 40 man scout platoon to be like 30, 40 miles ahead of the 3,000 man formation, scouting out, looking for the enemy. He is basically spearheading this entire mission.
Well, where's he going to get his supplies from?
Because the INR platoon doesn't actually exist yet, it's just him, the commander, he gets permission to handpick anybody from these 3,000 guys that he wants.
It's basically SF. This is SF. They're going SF. That's all this is. They're just picking the best of the best and then cracking their own routine. This is how Special Forces was created, isn't it? That's literally the bread and butter. This is what the British did out in Africa. the Desert Rats and the Commandos to make the SAS.
He pretty much exclusively picks from Charlie Group because he picks the top 200 guys with the most combat experience and interviews all of them. Out of those 200 that he interviews, he picks the 54 best guys in his opinion, and he makes sure that all of them have some type of religious convictions because he thinks that he wants guys on his side that truly believe that they're protected by God, because that's the only way we're going to get through this shit. After he builds the platoon, they spend the rest of the time they have training their asses off. They are burning more calories every day training than they're taking in from chow. So they're the most experienced combat guys around. They're the best of the best. They adopt the habit of raiding the chow halls of Alpha and Bravo Group, the inexperienced new guys, and they earn themselves the nickname the Chow Raiders. And
The Chow Raiders. The truth is, though, on top of that, them raiding is giving them experience. So
later gets changed to the Ignorant and Rugged Platoon, a play on INR. After training time elapses, they board trains and they head to the border. They're staging up there for a little bit. During this period of time, Logan becomes friends with the battalion surgeon, a guy by the name of Dr. James Hopkins, the great-grandnephew of John Hopkins, you know, like John Hopkins Hospital. Now, up until this point, they've been told the entire time, hey, we've had a bunch of engineers out there. They're already building a road that's supposed to go and hook up to the Burma Road, so you guys are actually going to be able to drive into enemy territory on trucks.
I don't believe you.
That's not what happens. They're working on a road, but it ain't that kind of road yet. Trucks aren't going to be able to make it, so they have to go and unload a bunch of mules off of trains, and they're going to carry all their equipment and ammunition and supplies on mules.
yeah, but mules, they've got to feed them.
So they get the mules loaded up, and Logan and the INR platoon take off 24 hours before anybody else does. Originally, they've got this like gravel road that was made by the engineers known as the Lido Road. They follow that for about 80 miles. They're running into engineers. The engineers are making coffee for them. It's not that bad. I mean, they're walking with 65-pound rucksacks, so that kind of sucks, but they're not really in enemy territory yet. Very quickly, though, everybody comes to kind of really get annoyed by these mules because, as I'm sure you can imagine, walking in the jungle with a 65-pound rucksack through mountainous terrain gets pretty tiring, so every hour or so they're stopping to take like a 10-minute break, and apparently the mules would see everybody else is stopping and sitting down, and then the mules would also like sit or lay down, and then the mules were incapable of getting back up when they were fully loaded with gear. So every single time they would have to unload the mules, get them stood back up, reload the mules, and pretty soon it turned into the guys that were in charge of the mules weren't actually getting a 10-minute break. They just got to spend 10 minutes unloading and reloading the mules.
God.
After they get to the end of the Lido Road, they just kind of take off into the jungle, headed the general direction of where the enemy is, and by January of 1944, they've traveled about 125 miles. Around this point in time, Logan gets orders.
This sounds absolutely horrendous. That sounds like the worst ping, the worst mission ever.
That he needs to head east from where he's at because the Chinese are engaging Japanese forces. He needs to try to link up with the Chinese forces. And remember, Logan is about a day ahead of everybody else. So they
all right. Okay, we'll keep going actually. I was going to stop there, but I want to know more.
Notifies Logan that there's somebody up ahead on this trail. They see somebody, so they go, they check it out. It's some Asian guy in some type of uniform. So they kind of like make themselves known, not knowing if it's the Japanese or the Chinese. And then the Asian guy just kind of raises his hand and they think he's waving. They're like, oh shit, we found the Chinese guys. This is awesome.
You seriously never noticed? Hey, hats off to you for not seeing rays.
And then the Asian guy drops his arm and they start getting lit up by machine gun fire. Remember, this is 54, the most jungle warfare experienced guys we got. They all hit the deck for a second, and then within a matter of like 2 minutes, they've killed all of the Japanese soldiers that staged this ambush. Okay, just so we're on the same page, this is the first encounter between Merrill's Marauders, or America in general, and the Japanese Empire in Burma. America got ambushed by surprise, proceeded to kill everybody that ambushed them, and Logan's men didn't have a single casualty in return. We're setting a tone right out of the gate.
Holy shit. I feel like he's getting into the meat of it now, so we're going to pause it there, okay? We're just over halfway through the video. We will finish it up tomorrow. If you want me to finish this tomorrow, like this video and comment, and I certainly will. If not, I'll watch it in my own time. But if you want me to watch it, like and comment, and the next one will go up tomorrow. All right? Is that a deal? I think that's a deal. Link down below to the Fat Electrician. Please go over and give him some support. He definitely deserves it. Making videos like this, come on. The best of the best, in my opinion. So go and support the Fat Electrician if you haven't already. And also check out his other channel, The Fat Files. I will leave a link down below to his channel anyway, so go check that out. Check out Chug if you haven't already. Check out Morale right there if you haven't already. Links down below to everything. Until next time, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.